All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the NC State Prague information session. Today, we're going to talk a bit about the NC State European Center in Prague, and then some of our programs, and give you a bit more specifics about how it looks and how it works. But we have a few people on the call today. We will be recording this, and we're going to share that with anyone who registered for this session. So that's going to be provided in case you have to leave early or anything like that. So we've got a few folks on the call, including staff and some former participants who we are excited about hearing from a little bit later. And with that, we'll go ahead and get started with some introductions.
Hi, I'm Kim Strzezuski. I'm the director here located in Prague at the NC State European Center. You could see beautiful Prague right outside my window. Actually, that's not my window, but that's what it does look like right outside the NC State Center. We are located really downtown Prague. I've been with NC State since 2019, and I've been working in study abroad for 18 years in the Czech Republic.
Hi, my name is Marie. I've been working for NC State since August, so pretty fresh still here, but so far I'm loving it. My role here is the Student Affairs and Program Coordinator, so we would be perhaps in touch also in the future regarding everything going on here at NC State.
Hey everyone, I'm Alex Wessner. I'm the Assistant Director, and I am located in Raleigh. So I'm the person that works with you all in the application phase and what we call the pre-departure phase. So I'm over here at Holmes Hall. So if you apply, I'll be working with you, and you'll definitely meet with me at some point. So yeah. And then, so that's just a few staff members. We have a lot of other staff members also in Prague who you might meet later, but we do have the good fortune of having a few folks who have been on the programs at NC State Prague. And they're with us today, and they can introduce themselves.
Katie, hi, I'm Katie. I was in NC State Prague last spring. I'm a communications major, so a little different. A lot of design kids are on my program, and I was a sophomore when I studied abroad.
And she was our TikTok guru because
of
Katie.
If you go on the TikTok, all the TikTok content from last spring was me. So.
Without her, we wouldn't have a TikTok. Thank you, Katie.
Hi, I'm Grace. I'm in graphic design, and I was a junior when I studied abroad. I also studied abroad in the spring with Katie.
Hey, I'm Matt. I'm an engineering major. I think that's definitely different than a lot of people, but I studied abroad like the summer before my senior year. I'm in my senior year right now. And so I did like the summer program. That's what I ended up doing.
Great. Thanks, y'all. So yeah, so we'll hear from Katie, Grace, and Matt a little bit later. We'll ask them questions, and you'll have a chance to do the same. It's great to hear from them. I mean, it's good to hear from us, but even better to hear from the folks who've been there and experienced it and are in your shoes. So yeah, so we'll be hearing from them throughout this session. All right, so just some information about the Prague Center, and I'll pass it over to Kim.
So this is a picture of the NC State Prague Center there. It's located in downtown Prague. We're NC State's only permanent year-round international facility, and we're primarily a study abroad location, but we also host some faculty events and symposiums. We started here as a year-round facility in 2005 through the College of Design, but they realized that study abroad was popular for all majors. So in 2017, it shifted over to the Office of Global Engagement and became a facility for any student to be able to study abroad. And we have around 200 students per year. Those were our numbers in 2019. I think for 2022, we're going to be up to like 250 students. So every year we're rising. The program's getting more and more popular. We actually have a very robust staff here. There's about 10 staff members here, there's a couple people who work with the students directly. I'm here. We have an academic coordinator. We have like a social media person. So we have like a quite nice staff, and we have about 20 Czech and international faculty members who teach the courses. So they are NC State courses taught by Czech faculty members. You can move the slide. So if you would, our classic program is the most popular program. We do have some niche programs too, if you're interested in those, but generally this is a classic program overview. We have fall, spring, and summer. In the fall and spring, it's like a typical semester where you have 12 credit hours, 15 weeks. It's a full semester of NC State courses. We have on-site orientation for you. We plan some excursions depending on the semester. In fall or spring, they're usually out of country excursions. In the summer, we do an in-country excursion because you don't have as much time. And along with these excursions, we try to have activities for you. We have like Czech cooking classes. We do opera events, soccer games. So we try to supplement the academic courses that you have with activities that are based like on the Czech Republic or Central European culture. So when you take these courses, you get NC State direct credits. It's not like you're transferring credits in. The classes are taken in English with other NC State students. And we're kind of a full service program. We advise, Alex is advising in the pre-departure phase. We have pre-departure support. We do the orientation. So you have on-site staffing. So it's kind of a group program feel where you kind of have things taken care of with the staff in Raleigh and the staff in Prague. And also we provide housing for you and we assist you with, we help you with the course registration, etc. As I mentioned before, we do have European faculty, but we try to maintain also small class sizes. Even though the programs can be big in the summer, we do limit the size of the enrollment in the classes to keep them small classes so they're not overwhelming. If you're interested, you could take a look at our website, but these are a lot of the classes that we have. The courses fulfill a lot of GEP courses. We have like humanities courses, natural sciences, social sciences, diversity courses, interdisciplinary courses, global knowledge, visual performing arts. So you can see what kind of classes that we offer. We generally only have class Monday through Thursday. Even in the summer, we try to make it because we do understand that students want to travel on the weekends. So we try to make it that you have a full course schedule. Like you may go till Thursday evening, but you'll still usually have Friday free. However, if there are like Czech holidays, we do, of course, have some excursions on those on Fridays and sometimes makeup days. But I could speak about the courses, but I think we have some students here who could also tell you about their experiences taking the courses here in Prague. So maybe either Grace, someone who could talk about the semester courses, and then Matt, you can speak about the summer because I think they're a little bit different in the times that they meet, or anybody who wants to speak. Let's hear from the students. They could tell you about the professors and the classes.
I can. So I took 16 credit hours when I was there, which is kind of uncommon. I took it like, so a lot of the classes were humanities requirements, which I had already fulfilled my credits as a comms major, but I mean, they were really fun. I had one class that was 2 people. So they structured the class, it was European politics, and we structured the class like around what we wanted to learn. And it was really fun, especially since like there was a lot of active stuff going on, like with the Ukraine situation that was getting like really big in the news when I was in that class. So we got to learn a lot about like that and go into detail with that. I got to take astronomy, which was fun. I am not a science person or a math person, so taking astronomy and going over to go to like observatories in a different country was definitely like probably one of the coolest experiences of my classes.
Yeah, I'll kind of add on to that because I also had the same experience where all of the classes really tried to integrate what was going on in our lives at the same time. So like I had a European design history class and we would just like go to a museum that had the things we were talking about in class, which was really crazy and really educational. It was really nice to see. I don't remember how many credits I took. I think I took 12. It was just like a very light semester. Which was really helpful because I did have a lot of time to travel and do stuff outside of school. And the class course load, I would say, was like pretty light. All your teachers know that you're coming here to try to explore. And they don't give you like a ton of homework outside of class. A lot of it is in class stuff. And then as far as like I was in design, so we had studios, and I would say it was really nice because we got to like go out into the city for a lot of our projects. We would like go out and photograph things, or I know the architecture studio as well. They like went out and they like look at different architecture around the city and then come back and then create projects based off of that. So it was really interesting and really engaging. The studio professor was really nice and he spent a lot of time like speaking with each of us. The class size was really small, so you get a very personal experience and you learn a lot.
Yeah, so the summer classes, I also took a studio, which I didn't think I needed to take a studio. So I took like a 6-hour photography class, and that was like 3 days a week. So we ended up meeting at 9 a.m. And then I think we got out of class at like 4. So we spent all day, but there were like lunch breaks and stuff in there. And so it was really, really fun because like the first half of the day, we'd always end up meeting at like a museum, and we would like do like all the photography museums or like an art museum to try to find like inspiration and stuff. And then the second half of the day, we went in the studio to like do all like our photography stuff. And I'll speak on my teacher too. She was Stepanka, and Stepanka was awesome. We found out the last day we were going out with Stepanka for like, like our last meeting or something like that. And she ended up being like a really, really famous photographer from the Czech. Like she shoots for Vogue and everything. And like, you would not have known that throughout the entire semester. She was so cool, so nice. And then it was like, oh, you shoot for Vogue? Like that's a pretty big deal. So it was really fun. But my other friends, like, I think I had more of a load taking, a studio class, and yeah, we only met 3 times a week. So I got Monday and Friday off, which was really nice because it allows you to travel and do what you want and not a whole lot of homework. And I don't think my friends did either too much.
Matt, what kind of credit did you get for the studio class as an engineering student?
So like I think I ended up taking photography pass fail. So
Okay,
I think
okay,
I was just doing it for fun. So I don't think I even got, but I know like I was in there with all the design students who I think I had to take it. So yeah, I was just doing it for fun. My friend told me to take it. So yeah.
Okay, thank you for your information about the classes. I think it's always good to hear about the firsthand experience in the classes.
Definitely. Thank you. If we have a look at the program activities, as Kim already mentioned in the beginning, after your arrival, we will have an orientation prepared for you. Here, or during the orientation, we will show you the NC State Center. You will learn about public transportation system. You will also get some tips, recommendations for us. The classic programs also have an intensive Czech language and culture immersion course, which takes place at Charles University, our partner university and the biggest university here in the Czech Republic. Throughout the semester, there's really a lot going on, ranging from sports, cooking classes, operas, and so on. So I would say there's really something for everyone. For example, the cooking classes take place every week. So it's a great way to learn to make some Czech traditional meals. I know it's one of the favorite activities of our students also this semester. And when it comes to cultural events, students can choose from ballets, operas, dance performances. This semester, we also had a modern circus performance. So really a bit of everything. Also, we offer excursions within and outside the Czech Republic. In the Czech Republic, we go to Český Krumlov, which is a very beautiful city here in the Czech Republic. It's UNESCO Heritage City. And as you can see in the photos, you have a chance to go rafting in the summer and visit the local castle. And in the winter, we have other activities prepared for you. And also the semester-long programs take part in out-of-country excursions. For example, this semester, our students had a chance to go to either Berlin, Germany, or then Krakow, Poland. And I would also like to ask our students to share their experience with perhaps your favorite activity or excursion. Katie, if you could start.
Yeah, I feel like everyone I talked to, like before I went, or like once I was there, like everybody has a crazy experience in Český Krumlov. I don't know why. I think it's the first time that you're like really out there doing your own thing, like even though we go as a group. And when I went in the winter, so we did like bobsledding, and then we climbed up this tree thing that went like really high up, which was pretty cool. But then on the way down, it was kind of funny because we were like, oh, the bus is going to take forever to get back up here. So let's just walk down. Walking down in the snow was definitely interesting. It should have taken like 10 minutes, but it took us like, I think we got there the same time the bus got there. If it didn't really save us much time because we were like slipping and sliding the whole time, which was fun. It's also just like interesting to for like the cultural experiences. Like I know I went to like the modern circus performance and then the opera, I think. And for both of them, our like student like RA people were with us, and they explained it to us after the performance was over, and everything we thought was happening was not what was actually happening because it was in Czech and we had no idea what we were seeing. So there were times that we were laughing and it was like a really serious, like he was like talking about his emotions on the stage, and we thought it was so funny because they brought out like these balls, like blow up balls, and we're throwing them around, and we were all laughing but nobody else was laughing, and then they told us why after, which was pretty funny, like to not know what was going on but still think it was really entertaining. So yeah.
Thank you, Grace.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I also agree. The excursions are really nice because once you get to Europe and you start realizing that when you're gonna like go travel to another country or another city even, it's a lot of work to plan out where you're gonna do the whole day and figure out, I don't know if there's still travel restrictions, but we had COVID travel restrictions, and it was just like really exhausting to plan a trip. It was worth it, but very exhausting. So having the excursions is really nice because NC State Prague will take care of everything for you. You just get up one day and you're there. And I would say that that was one of my favorite things. I went to Krakow and then also to Český Krumlov. I also went down the snowy mountain, and it was very cold. It was like blizzarding at the same time, but still very fun. And then we went to Krakow and we went to Auschwitz, and we got to like tour the city and stuff, and that was really insightful. And then also I'd like to talk about the cooking classes because I really enjoyed the cooking classes. I didn't get to go to a lot of them because some of them were held during some of my other classes, but they try to do them on different days so that you can at least go to like some of them. So that's what I did. And it was always really interesting because I feel like, I mean, I just like cooking. I also like eating. So I'm vegetarian too. So they were able to modify the recipes, and it was really nice to get that like personalized chef sort of, because not only did I get to know how to make things, but there's a lot of Czech food that's not vegetarian. So we could modify it so that I could eat it. And yeah, it was very yummy. It was very fun.
Thanks. Matt, if you would like to add something as well.
Yeah, so I went on the summer, so I got to do the rafting part on Český Krumlov, and yeah, I definitely spent more time in the water than like actually in the raft. It was really fun, and Český Krumlov, it was super beautiful. It's like this little medieval town, like it's super awesome. And one thing I do regret is that I only went to the ballet, and I didn't think it was like going to be cool. I was like, ballet, it was awesome. It was like a super cool ballet. And I really would, because there was a bunch of operas, and I really regret that I didn't get to go to the opera. So I'll try to, like, if you guys go, definitely go to every single cultural event, because it's like super interesting to see like the Czech culture behind everything. Yeah. And yeah, in the cooking classes, they were really good. And you get to eat the leftovers too. Okay. So that was great. The food is always good.
Perfect. Thank you. We can have a look at the next slide about student housing. Thank you. So here on the left side, you can see our main student housing, the main student residence called Zeitraum, which is not located far from the NC State Center. It's very easy to reach. What is included in the housing is a fully furnished room, including bedding and Wi-Fi. There are mostly shared kitchens in the hallways on each floor, and also kitchen supplies are included. There's also a washing machine available, and also a dryer, which are to be paid per use. And there's also staff and security available 24/7. One of the main highlights or benefits of Zeitraum is that it's occupied only by NC State students. So we have the whole building. And also in each floor, we have a RA, or how we call it, student housing assistant, which are Czech students who are there to help you, provide any additional support. So you can always ask them for help, or if you need any assistance with anything. So they're also there for you. Also, I would like to mention the great thing is that Zeitraum, the student housing, is very close to a tram stop. It's a 2-minute walk away. It's also surrounded by grocery stores, restaurants, and also the Prague main train station is behind the corner, so it's very easy to travel anywhere. Here on the bottom of the slide, you can see the link where you can find more information, more photos. We also have mostly double rooms, but also single rooms are available upon request and upon additional payment. And again, I would like to pull out our former students. If you could share your memories from Prague and the residents. Katie, again, if you could start.
Yeah, so fun fact, actually, my room, if you look up of the sea on the Costa Coffee and go up to the middle window, that was my room. But I really liked the location because as much as like Old Town Square, like where the school is really pretty, it's very touristy at the same time. Whereas where the resident was in Žižkov was much more like local neighborhoody. So it was, you could see like the culture a little bit differently rather than seeing a bunch of tourists around all the time. Like we walked around like a lot. There's a lot of really good restaurants like up and down. It's like centered on a hill, so you can go down the hill or up the hill, but the hill is really hard to walk up and down, so like beware of the hill because the tram does not go up the hill very easily. You have to get on like 2 trams, but there are some like really fun stuff like on either side of it, and it's just a really good location, and it was really nice. And as somebody who has like a lot of clothes, a lot of space, like I did not struggle to get my clothes in the closet, and I thought I was going to not have space. So it was definitely really nice. Like the windows, like it was Europe, so the windows open, like unlike here, a lot of the windows don't open, but they opened like all the way, and it was really cool. And I like street noise. I'm a city girl, so I like hearing like the people and like the trams and stuff at night. So it didn't really bother me, but I know some people thought it was a little bit loud. So maybe like bring like headphones if you're like sensitive to noise when you're sleeping. But
Katie actually made some TikTok videos about housing as well. So if you want to check them out, you're welcome to see them. And yeah, as she mentioned, there are trams going around the building. But the good side is that it's very easy to hop on, hop off anytime, basically. And the tram will get you in 5 minutes to the center of the town and also to NC State Center. Grace?
Yeah, I was about to say the trams. I'm a light sleeper, so I can kind of speak on the trams, but like it's just like you tune it out, like just like how when you're in the dorm rooms and you hear like Hillsborough Street traffic, you tune it out. And then also I guess you can bring earplugs, but I guess the main thing with that is that the trams are coming down the hill that Katie was talking about, and it's just like they're like barreling down the hill. And I would also speak on like there's a lot of really good restaurants around. The area that at least the Zeitram is in is like there's a lot of good thrifting. There's a park nearby, which I used to go run at like every day. It has a bunch of hills. So I don't know if you like running at Lake Johnson, you like running over hills. It was a great workout. And then the rooms, I had my own room. So I did like the pay a little extra and get your own room. And it was, I mean, I'm just like a person who likes being alone, I think. So it was really, really nice. It was definitely worth the extra money. And then everyone that I know who had a roommate also like never had a problem. There's a lot of space in the rooms and they're very clean. They're like really nice. All the stuff in them looks really new. It's way nicer than your dorm room, like any of the dorm rooms that we have here. And I also had the chance, I stayed a little bit longer. And so I lived in another place in Prague, like out in Prague 7, which is like a little bit far away, but it was the same price, which kind of tells you that like this Zytram is like in the middle of the city, and it takes you like 10 minutes to get to school, which is amazing. Like the other place that I lived, it took me forever to get into the middle of the city. And so like there's really nothing you can find that will beat the price of this, and like the location of it is just like perfect.
Thank you, Matt.
Yeah, so I didn't actually live in Zytram. I lived in Belgiska, which is it's like, so Zytram had like definitely like a dorm feel to it. Like it was, you know, everybody, all the rooms were like on a hall. It was like a hall style dorm. And so ours was like an apartment. And but I'll talk about, I got to live with the Czech student assistant, and we became pretty good friends. Yeah, so it was definitely really fun. And like I'll talk about, I don't know if y'all are still doing Belgiska, but Belgiska, like we had a little rivalry going on with Zytram. So I thought Belgiska was better, not gonna lie. But yeah, so Belgiska was like in a little it was like basically like a residential kind of area, and like it was so fun. Like you got to kind of pretend you were Czech and living in an apartment. Like we threw a table out on the balcony and we were having dinner out there and stuff. Yeah, and we got to be on the top floor too, which was really nice. You know, we had the windows that opened, like we had the top floors and the windows open vertically, and it was pretty cool.
All right, great. Okay, well, yeah, so I'll hop in here and cover some information about costs and fees, and a few things about the application process. So we've heard about classes, the center, the program, specifically the classic program. We do, as Kim mentioned early on, we do have a number of different programs that we run standing year round at the NC State Prague Center. The one we focused on today is the classic program, which is sort of our mainstay program. And we do run that, as you can see on the list here, in the summer, fall, and the spring. But this gives you an overview of the different programs and their overall costs. So you can see in the first two columns, the setup fee and the study abroad fee. These are basically, you can think of them more or less as like application fees. So if you do go through various stages of the application process, so the submission and then the commitment phases, you would then pay those fees, and then there's a remaining balance. And so we incorporate those two fees in the total program costs, which you can see on that far right column there. So again, that gives you an overview of the overall costs, but if we want to look more about what that includes and what that does not include, we can take a look here. So the program costs will include the big things. It's going to include the tuition and your accommodation. So what we've been hearing about in the previous slide. So all that's built into the packaged into the program cost. So there's the two big ones, but it also includes a number of other things, such as the health insurance. So you will be provided with international health insurance for the entirety of your stay during the program. And that will cover you when you're in Prague, in Czech Republic, as well as if you decide to travel in neighboring countries or within Europe. So that's going to be part of this program cost as well. And then we did mention those excursions. So those out-of-country trips, the in-country trip to Český Krumlov, that's going to come with costs, like, you know, to get to those places and back, as well as the accommodations when you're in there. All that is also packaged into the program costs, because these are our program activities or program trips. The cultural events, so the things that Matt mentioned, like the ballet and then some of the opera, stuff like that we run throughout the semester or the term or the summer, that's all kind of part of it as well. We also, the orientation that Marie mentioned, we do provide materials. That's all packaged in this, as well as 24/7 emergency response, Wi-Fi, of course, as you'd expect at the center and the residence. And then the last thing is pretty neat. We give you, when you get to Prague, on the first couple of days, we'll hand you a travel pass. So this is going to have your photo on it, and it's going to be like in this little foldy little thing that you can easily slip into your wallet or purse. That's going to be an in-city travel pass that allows you to use the metro system, the trams that you'll be using a lot, as well as the bus system. That's pretty good, really good in the city. And so you won't have to mess around with, excuse me, purchasing individual tickets every time you want to get on one of those things, which is a huge time saver. It's a big a big convenience. So you'll have that, just don't lose it, and you'll have it for the whole time you're there. Again, that's for the city travel. If you want to go outside of Prague or obviously to other countries, that's a separate thing. So that gives you a sense of what's included. If we look in the other column on the right, we'll see what's not included in that program costs. And these are things that you would be responsible for taking care of yourselves. So the airfare. So we do not book group flights for our programs, a variety of reasons, but that's just something that you would be responsible for purchasing on your own. It gives you the freedom as well to purchase the flights for the route you prefer, if you have airline preferences, or when you want to buy that, more or less. As long as you get there by what we call arrival day, you're free to purchase that. But that's something that you would want to obviously factor into your overall costs. And then meals. So this is a common question we get. How do meals work? You know, if you're an NC State student, you're used to probably going to the dining halls on campus, just, you know, sliding your card and it's all kind of ready to go for you. Obviously in Prague, facilities, everything's, you know, a lot smaller scale. So we don't have these massive dining halls. So the way meals work, it's pretty much up to you. Your day-to-day meals, students often will go to the grocery store and buy groceries and do meal prep for the week, go out to eat, some combination thereof. But the point is, you're free to kind of do meals as you want, and that's not something that we build into the program costs. And then finally, we have, your students, you're kind of used to school supplies, textbooks. That's, of course, something that's not included, that varies from term to term, class to class. And then we have, what's called personal expenses, which is a broad category. That's stuff like you aren't thinking of, or if you want to buy gifts for your folks back home, or, toiletries, things like that, you want to, of course, set aside or expect to spend something on, right? The last two items, these might not apply, it just depends on the program you're applying to. But for all of our programs, you, of course, have to have a passport. And if you have one already, great. If you need to get your first one, or if you need to renew an existing passport, there's going to be a fee with that, an application fee. Of course, that's going to, something you want to factor into it. But then we also have a visa fee. So for our semester-long classic program, we do require that you apply for the visa. It's because of the amount of time you'll be in the Czech Republic, it's required. And there is a fee associated with that particular, the spring and fall classic programs. So just be aware of that. Okay. So that gives you a sense of the costs in greater detail, what's included, what's not. What we'll look at here real quick is we'll look at application deadlines. So this is a general information session, but we do want to give you some specific kind of the next application cycle dates associated with our summer, fall, and spring programs. So right now, currently, we actually have the summer applications for 2023 open still. We do have 3 programs that we're running in the summer, 2 of which have an application deadline of November 30th. So those are 2 programs we haven't focused on in this session. That's our internship as well as our engineering program, E101 program. But those you can read more about on our website if you're interested. Those do have a November 30 deadline. But again, we're focusing on classic here. And so that summer classic program, that deadline isn't until the new year. So February 7th, 2023, we'll still be accepting applications for summer classic until then. Now, having said that, we will accept applications until February 7th. But as Kim mentioned early, the popularity of our programs are increasing. And so, sometimes we have to give priority to earlier applicants, things like that, because we might not be able to take everybody who applies. So if you're thinking about applying for summer classic, I would encourage you to apply as early as you can. Give yourself the best chance you can to participate in that. So, but yeah, you still have February 7th for summer classic. The next cycle would be fall, and you're probably thinking, why is the application deadline earlier than the summer one if that program's later? It's just how it is. But yeah, just be aware if you're applying for our fall classic program, that does have a deadline of February 1st. Okay. Now, you can't apply for that quite yet because the application cycle, the window hasn't opened. It will open November 21st, so it's coming around the corner. But just be aware that we will take applications for fall until February 1st. Finally, we have if we look forward to the spring 2024 cycle, we will most likely be having a September 15th deadline. That's typically what we have every year. It's not confirmed yet, so just that's the caveat there, but just be aware it's going to be sometime around mid-September if you're thinking a little bit later for spring 2024 programs. So just last thing before I move on, we do have scholarships available. The NC State Study Abroad Office maintains its own pool of scholarships, and so you can apply for those. It's a separate process from the program application process. But if you want to learn more about that and start an application, you can use that link at the bottom of this slide, and you can get one started there, and you can learn more about the processes. There's separate deadlines for those as well, but just be aware you may be eligible for NC State Study Abroad scholarships that you can use for our programs. Okay, so briefly, application process, everything pretty much is online. So there's no need to fill out any paper forms and mail those in the mail. You can just get that all finished, completed, and everything submitted over what's called the Pack Abroad. So you use the system, you can start an application, go to our website, pick the program you like, and you'll see a red button on that web page. It says apply now, and you just click that, and it'll direct you to get started and kind of walk you through the application process. Now, there are a few things to submit. There's things to read and sign. There's things to like videos to watch and things like that. So there's a variety of items in your application, and you'll get instructions on each of those items within the application itself. But if you do have any questions about anything as you're working through the application, as I mentioned, that's a large part of my role is to assist with that. So you can always reach out to us, to me specifically, if you have any technical issues or any questions, need some clarifications on the items themselves. But it's pretty self-explanatory once you start it, and it'll walk you through that pretty well. So yeah, so it's all online. That's the application process. And with that, I will turn it back over to Marie to ask some questions more of our student past participants.
Yes, thank you. Now we would like to continue with the student panel. So I have some questions prepared to our former students. And first, I would like to ask, why did you choose to study abroad in Prague? And if there was something that perhaps surprised you or anything you would like to share with us? Let's start with Matt now.
Yeah, so I chose to do study abroad in Prague. Like I had coming off like my hardest semester ever in engineering. It was second semester, junior year. And so I was just like looking to, kind of just have fun, meet some NC State people and go. And yeah, it fulfilled everything, one of those things. And like I had never been to Europe before. And I would say like the summer program, it's only like 6 weeks. You're not there for like a super long time. And it was like perfect for like to get. And I actually ended up staying an extra week. I extended my flight, and it is perfect to like, explore Europe and get that like cultural experience while you still have like the time to do it, because if I go off and get a job, like I'll never be able to like go spend 7 weeks in Europe again. And it was a great opportunity to do that. Yeah. So that's kind of like why I went. I didn't necessarily go to like get any classes done or anything, because I know a lot of the design students had to like get classes done, but yeah, it was definitely like a great experience for me. Very good.
Grace?
Yeah, I would say that I always knew that I wanted to study abroad just because I had been abroad a few times, and just like being abroad for like a week, or just traveling for a week. If you've traveled anywhere, even in North Carolina, you feel like you learn so much more than, staying at home, like on your computer, looking online or learning in classes. You just get so many more skills. And then I chose Prague because I am in design and a lot of my classes were here, so it just made sense for me. But as I, went through the semester, I realized there was a lot more reasons to choose it. So I'll kind of share those too. I realized I made a really lucky choice. But Prague is in the Czech Republic, which is in like almost the center of Europe. So anywhere that you want to go in Europe, like I feel like the longest flight that I took was I went all the way to like Spain near Africa, sort of. And that was like 2 hours, 3 hours, I think. So like you're so close to everything. And also trains, like there'll be a bunch of trains that you can take. You don't have to take a flight everywhere, or buses that you can take. And then also the cost of living in Prague was really great as a student because you don't have a lot of money. You know, it's hard to travel abroad and that costs a lot of money, but the cost of living in Prague was really nice. I know some other students who went abroad to other very expensive countries and came back with nothing in their bank account. So that's also really nice. And then also you're going to be with other Americans, which is a great support group. I never really had a huge problem with feeling like frustrated or any sort of like culture shock, but I know some other people who did, and it was really nice for them to have that group, the support group. And if you're going abroad and you're like joining a new university and you don't know anyone else there, it can be really intimidating and really challenging, but you'll have this group of students who's already has the same experiences as you. They're from NC State, they speak English. And I would call it kind of like, you know, your freshman year, whenever you first, I don't know if the people who joined during COVID had this similar thing, but during your freshman year, there's like a lot of activities and you just get to meet a ton of people. I would call it kind of like the similar experience where you just get to meet a bunch of people, whether they're in your major, if they're in design, or also just like other people who are coming with you to Prague.
Thank you. Katie?
Yeah, so first, because Grace mentioned it, I was a COVID freshman, so I did not get those experiences. Like, besides the fact that I was on crutches my first year, I did not meet like anybody because everything was online. So it was definitely like a good experience for that. I chose Prague. Okay, so Prague was kind of like in front of me the entire time that I was applying to college because I always knew I wanted to study abroad. I almost studied abroad in high school. And then COVID hit. I was supposed to go abroad that summer and I couldn't go. And then I was originally applied to NC State for design. So I heard about the Prague program through that. And then when I got into NC State, I was a Spring Connect student. So I heard about the Prague Connect program, which I couldn't go to. Crutches, COVID could not happen. So there were like many times that Prague popped up in like my email about NC State, and I never really knew what Prague was or where it was. So the more I looked into it, the more I was like, okay, this probably isn't a place that I would go to on my own, like Italy or France. Like I know I want to go there, which definitely made it more appealing to me because I feel like if it's something that kind of reaches you out of your comfort zone, that's what I wanted to do. And it was just kind of like they were saying, like it's so central, it's such an experience. And like I didn't know before I went there how big of a destination spot it is. Like I think it's in the top 5 most like visited cities in Europe, including like Paris is on that list too, like in London, I think. So it's kind of really amazing to like see the 2 different sides, because by the time that I was leaving, I was like, I was walking to class and I just walking, like had my AirPods in, like listening to music, and somebody stopped me to ask for directions because apparently I looked like I knew where I was going, what I was doing, which was really interesting because like I had no idea how to get to where they were going, but I could look it up on a map for them because I had service and they didn't. But yeah, I mean, I always wanted to study abroad, and I'm really glad I did a semester just because it's such a different experience. Like I had gone away from home for I think like 2 months before was the longest I'd ever been away from like home for one extended period of time. So going away for that long, for almost 4 months, definitely felt like I was on my own, which is what I wanted. I didn't want to feel like it was just a vacation. I wanted to feel like I was living there, which definitely is what I got by going a semester.
Perfect, thank you. Now I have 2 questions. The first one is, how would you describe your study abroad stay in Prague if you would have to use 3 words? And then do you have any recommendations or tips for prospective students? Matt, again, if you could start.
Yeah, so I guess my 3 words would be, it was definitely like fresh. Like there was like not a single thing that I did that I had done before. Like I went to a lot of places. Like I try to go somewhere every weekend, and like I went to Budapest, and it was like a 1-hour flight to Budapest, and I was like in the most different place in the world I've ever been. Like they have thermal baths in Budapest, that it was like thermal hot springs and stuff that were in there. And Yeah, I ended up actually, I think one of the coolest things, I got sick when I was over there. Like I got some cold, and all my friends, they went to Amsterdam, and I got left behind. I had to give up my ticket and everything. And I started feeling better. And so I was just like, I'm not doing anything this weekend. I took like the train to Dresden, and it was like a 30-minute train ride. The train ticket was like $15. And I got on and I rented a bike, and I just biked by myself through the German countryside. And there was just like every 10 miles, there was like another castle. And it was like one of the most incredible experiences that I've had. That was really fun. And another word, I guess, would be like broadening. Like it was definitely like a good way to like, see like different cultures and different aspects of like how people do things. Like it was so interesting. So I made pretty good friends with Martin. So say hey to him if you ever say Matthew said hey. And I ended up getting to go to Martin's house. So he didn't grow up in Prague. He grew up in Slani, as this little town outside of out of Prague. And I got to end up going to like meet his parents and like see how they live. They had this beautiful like natural garden that was like stepped in their backyard. The mom, like she didn't even speak English, but she was just like so excited to have us like Americans there. Cause like, I don't think especially outskirts of Prague, like they don't, get to intimately meet with Americans too much. And so she like cooked us a bunch of food. She was showing us like all the local beer and stuff. And it was like really interesting to see how they lived versus like how we live in the United States. And then the last word, I guess, would be describe it would be beautiful. Like Prague. The reason I like chose Prague to study abroad is like this is my grandma's favorite city. Like she's very well traveled and she loved Prague, and I thought Prague was quite great. It is just everywhere was just super beautiful. I really like all like traditional architecture and stuff. So it is like definitely if you liked all the medieval architecture, it's like definitely like the city for you everywhere. And then recommendations. So my sister, she studied abroad, and she said, and I took that, it was good advice. It was like, if you ever like have some, just like take every single opportunity that you have, because like you're only going to be there once. And one of the things that other students did that I wish I would have done, it sounds kind of nerdy, but it's just write down what you did every day. Because I did so much stuff that I probably forgot more than like I remember from doing. So if you like sit there and write down like what you did, it's like I wish I would have done that. So like I could like actually like remember like all the stuff that I did, like, because I did I did a lot of stuff. Yeah, I definitely do this stuff.
Thank you. Grace?
You had such good words. I'm like terrible at coming up with words. So I'm just gonna try to get my 3 concepts across. So the first word that I chose was like exciting, basically, because I felt like every day that I woke up, I wasn't quite sure what was gonna happen. Like, yeah, I knew I was gonna go to my classes, but like sometimes you'll just stumble across things because it's such a big city, and then also because you haven't ever lived there before. So like every day you're learning something new. There was never really a time that I was bored, because if you start getting bored, you just go outside and you just start looking around. There's always like, I love walking, and I'll just even walk by myself. So there's always like a new like building that I haven't walked by before, haven't seen. So that would be my first word. And then my second would be explorative. So like I try to do as many things as I possibly could, just kind of like what Matt was saying. And because you really only have one chance to be there. You can go back however many times you want, but there's only really one chance that you have to like study there, unless you go do like a grad school program there, which by all means go for it. But like it's such a special time that like you should really take advantage of every opportunity that you have. And to like even break away from the group a little bit, because also like what Matt was just saying, I felt like I learned more every time that I kind of like took a step outside of maybe my comfort zone in a safe way, but like went and I met a bunch of friends who are Czech, and then also talking to the RAs who are Czech, you kind of like get to be immersed more in that culture. So just taking any step that you can to like further dive into the culture, because you're going to be with a group of Americans, and like it's really great that you're with a group of Americans. You have a lot of built-in friends and they're a great support group. But also like you don't want to just like stay in your little American bubble. You want to get out there and be able to learn more. And that's really where I did feel like I learned the most, is whenever I like went out with someone who was Czech, or like there's also an American university there. So if you're not like ready to cross the line yet, but you still want to hang out with Americans, they also have been there for like 3 years. I think their program's 3 years. So I made some friends there too. And it was really interesting just to see like what they did. Because you're never going to know like the best places to shop or eat or like go get a drink until you really like meet the people and ask them what they think. So that's a piece of advice as well. And then perspective shifting, if that's even like a word, because I feel like I just learned so much about how other people live. If you're really like trapped in this bubble whenever you're living just like in North Carolina and Raleigh, everyone's kind of similar. We all have our own lives, and you already know how it all works. But then whenever you go somewhere else and you see like what people are eating, what they're doing every day, like the way that their house looks, their activities, what they think is fun, what they do on a Friday night, it's really like a huge learning experience, and it kind of shifts your perspective. And then also like learning in this environment too, because I feel like even like the teacher like student relationship is like different. Like they're much more like open and like chill, I would say, than like your professors. I know I also have engineering classes, and it's not like Mr., it's doctor. You have to say like doctor, this person, it's like much more chill in Prague. So it was like really interesting to see that all of the differences, the way that different people live.
Katie, last but not least.
Yeah, so I guess the first word that I kind of came up with was eye-opening. Definitely like seeing different cultures, different environments. I traveled a lot while I was there, so going from one place to another, especially when all the Ukraine stuff started happening, and seeing how different countries were responding based on like their political like people and their views and that kind of stuff, was really interesting to see. But also it's just, no matter how much research or preparation you do, because I'm like an OCD person, like I was watching YouTube videos and reading blogs like nobody's business before I went, did not prepare me for what it was really like, what the people were like, and what I was experiencing. So I'll definitely just like keep an open mind, and like with the open mind like aspect, like definitely a piece of advice that I have is like, go out of your comfort zone, like try something new, because I like had to push myself out of my comfort zone when I even applied for the semester program. Like that was already like pushing it. Like I could have done like a sprint, like I could have done a summer program or something, but I wanted to push myself a little bit harder. But I have like two like fears like that literally make me like shake with like anxiousness, and that's like heights and enclosed spaces. Like I do not do either of those, and I definitely like took the opportunities to go out of my comfort zone. And like my friends are usually holding my hand, like one of them like even on the Chesky Krumlov like tree thing, like that was very, very high up in the air for me, like, but I did it, and I'm really glad I did it. And then I had two experiences where I was like underground in a cave. Like I went to the Naples like mining like cave tour thing when I was in Italy, and then when I went to Cunha, I did a mining thing, and it was even more enclosed. And there was at one point when we were in pitch black darkness, and I was literally super freaked out, but I'm really glad I did it because it was so cool, and I got to experience this new part of like history and culture for these countries. So definitely like push yourself. If it scares you, do it. Like just tell the people you're with that you're scared, and they'll hold your hand, I promise. There's no fear in that. And then embracing is another word I came up with, because I don't know if it was there because we were in the spring. I don't know if it was like dead of winter and it was weird to see like a group of like, I don't know how many kids were in our program, but there was a large group of us in Chesky Krumlov. We took over that town, and it was like the off season, nothing was open. So I don't know if it was because we were like in the winter program or what, but like when people saw a group of us, they always were asking us like why we were there. And when we told them that we were studying, they got so interested and wanted to hear all about our program, like why we chose Prague, how we ended up in this small town that we were in. Like even when we were traveling like to, I think the first place I went was Berlin, and it was January. So they were wondering like why we decided to come and study abroad, like come to Berlin in January. And then we were telling them about it, and like just be open, because everybody over there is like so excited, especially because the past few years in Prague was so like down compared to what it had been in the past because of COVID. So there weren't that many tourists around. So people seemed like so interested in learning why we were there, and they were happy that we were there, which was really interesting. And then the last word that I came up with was unexpected. Kind of like I said with eye-opening, like it wasn't anything like what I was predicting, what I was like telling myself it was going to be like, but it was so much better, because I thought like going on the program, like I thought going on a group program like that, I wouldn't have as much freedom, or even like on the group excursions. Like I was like, okay, yeah, we're doing everything as a group. No, like we have one group dinner, like we have a group tour, and then you're kind of like able to do everything on your own because you are adults, and like you can go out, like you can do anything you want. You find your own lunch options, you find your own dinner options besides like the one group dinner and like the group scheduled like tour. Like we had the Auschwitz tour when we went to Krakow, but we were there for a whole weekend, and like we got to choose what we wanted to do. And like you can choose during like, I think it was Saturday, we had like the whole day free, and we got to do whatever you want. So like you can choose what you want to do. Like just text in like the group chat that you have with the other students and be like, hey, like this is what I found that I want to do. Like if anyone wants to go with me, like don't just stick to the people that you hang out with on a day-to-day. Like choose what you want to do and find people who want to do that with you. Because like if you limit yourself based on like staying in your comfort zone and staying with the people that you've kind of like grown closest to, then you'll miss out on like really great opportunities. And yeah, just like to take the chance, because I think that Grace and Matthew both said it, like you're only there for that long, for that experience of living in another country, for that time that you're there. Like obviously you can study abroad more than once, but just take the opportunities. And even if you're tired and someone randomly says, hey, do you want to go up on top of this thing and see us, like watch the stars at midnight, do it, because it's so much fun.
Thank you so much for sharing your experience. Now it's time for questions from the audience. So if you have any questions for us or our former students, we would be happy to answer them now. And meanwhile, if we wait for some of the questions, we can have a look at the next slide, and we would like to invite you to follow us on social media of NC State Prague. You can follow us either on Instagram, TikTok, or Facebook. You can also contact us directly on our email address, ncstateprague@ncsu.edu. And we do have one question here in the chat. How soon do you get application decisions back after applying? Kim or Alex, do you want to take over?
Yeah, so we do have, as I showed earlier, we do have this application deadlines, and generally we will give you pretty much everyone decisions after that deadline. So what happens is they come in, and then we'll do our own office internal reviews of applications, and then give everyone our decisions pretty much at the same time. So that process would occur easily within 2 weeks after the deadline. So you would hear something by then for sure. Now, in some cases, we may review applications even before the deadline and give decisions out then. But by and large, in terms of expectations, you should get something back in terms of decisions within a 2-week period after the respective application deadline. Yeah, so there's a question, is the $375 application fee refundable if you are not accepted into the program you want? Yeah, so that fee there is refundable only on certain conditions. One is like if it's canceled, the program. If you're denied a visa is another reason you would be, but you actually wouldn't have to pay that fee at that stage. So I showed you earlier those fees, and I'll jump back over to it real quick. The setup fee is an application fee, more or less, that you have to pay at the time you submit your application, okay? And then at that point, you won't yet have to pay that study abroad fee of $375 because not until we accept you. So if we give you an acceptance decision, you then have time to let us know if you're going to come. And that's what we call commitment. So you tell us, hey, yep, I'm committing. At that stage, Katie, you would have to pay the $375. And so just when you know you're ready to commit, that's when you pay it. So if you weren't accepted, you wouldn't have to pay that at that point. At that point, you would have paid the $75, the setup fee. Now that is actually not refundable, but it is transferable in the same term. So if you decided to go to a different program in the same term that you applied, we can transfer that to that particular program. But usually, if you don't decide to go to a different program in the same term, then that's kind of a loss. The $75 is kind of a lost application fee, so to speak. But yeah. I know it's a little bit past the block. It's 11:02 right now. So so if anyone has any questions, maybe what we'll do is, in the interest to respect your time, just direct you to our email address here, ncstateprague@ncsu.edu. If you think of any questions, just shoot them there, and we do monitor that. We'll be answering those. We want to, of course, thank our students panel today. Very helpful. We hope this was informative for you and helpful to you. We hope it piqued your interest in NC State Prague. Definitely, as Marie said, follow us, keep connected with us through our various social media. And what we'll do is then send out this recording to all those who registered for this session today. So, and thank you for your time. So with that, we will stop recording, and hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you for joining today.